I was always the type of person that dreamed big, not in the materialistic sense, but in the qualitative sense. I wanted to be the best for myself and thus demanded that I stick to a strict diet, exercise scheme, and schedule to squeeze the most out of every day. I frequently toiled meticulously and tried to make myself busy in the pursuit of winning at every facet of life. As a kid, my diet was riddled with excess eating and poor choices, and as a young adult, I tried to correct those habits by tracking every food down to the calorie. If I didn't get at least 1 gram of protein per gram of body weight, I felt immense anxiety, and I weighed myself every day, dying a little on the inside when the scale went up and relishing when it went down. I felt the pressure to fill my plates at college with the driest and least appetizing chicken breast with no sauce and deny myself the ability to have any sweets. This inevitably led to burnout very quickly, and eventually I gave up entirely. Only when looking back at my scale readings did I realize I gained 30 to 40 pounds of body weight between my freshman and sophomore years. At the time, though, this was masked by my persistent exercise where I spent no less than an hour and a half, 6 days a week working out, with a split that worked every head of the muscle group at least once and was optimized for comprehensive full body hypertrophy. I consumed hours and hours of fitness content in hopes that I would get jacked if I had just that one more thing. My life revolved around eating and working out. It was all I could think of, and when I wasn't doing either, my body was restless, which I only fixed by pouring immense amounts of effort into side hustle after side hustle. I tried DJing, then I tried drop shipping. I even organized a meeting with my closest friends at the time to discuss potential business ventures, but they never amounted to anything. And worse, on the weekends, I reset all my progress. I would eat anything and everything in sight and would waste 2 nights a weekend going out to sweaty bars, spending literally hundreds of cumulative dollars on drinks and cover charges. All for what? To find the prospective girl of my dreams? No way. Needless to say, my life was in need of a major revamp. It was around junior year when I really started to rethink these habits. It started with me changing my mind on going out every weekend. At the time, it was common and even encouraged to go out with everyone, but I started to get a huge distaste for the whole humiliation ritual. I did the math, and when I realized how much money I was wasting on nights I barely even liked, I started saying no. No to the $20 cover charges, no to the $12 drinks, no to inhaling fried chicken from the local convenience store. And slowly, I began to feel more whole. I stopped feeling gross and even made better choices overall. And at the dining hall, I began to allow myself to eat more of what tasted good, as long as I was still prioritizing protein and including fruits and vegetables. I could still enjoy a cookie or two. I felt less anxious, and I felt more open to focusing on things that really moved the needle. I ended the various side hustles that I would start and never finish, and I took money that I wasn't spending going out and I invested it into the market. It has been more than 2 years since that point, and amazing things have come from it. And the core idea connecting it all was that doing less is more. That is why I made this video, to remind those workaholics that you stand to benefit so much more from doing less than doing more. But that thought would have perplexed my younger self. Shouldn't doing more result in more? This is why it works. The first reason is the Pareto principle. In other words, you should focus on the core principles, those 20% of fundamental actions that account for 80% of the progress, rather than focusing on the 80% of niche concepts that account for 20% of the results. This concept alone has led me to rethink every facet of my life, from health and fitness to personal finance to work and school and even my wardrobe. Cutting the 80% of effort allowed me to focus on pouring more effort into the things that multiplied my results. The next is a concept from the book The One Thing by Gary W. Keller and Jay Papasan. Gary and Jay talk about how asking yourself one simple question can have profound benefits for your productivity and life overall. What's one thing that you can do that would make everything else easier? That is the basic question that you should ask yourself when you want to make progress in any area of your life. While baby steps can be good, they often lead to burnout as seemingly no progress is made, but lots of effort is given, and thus we don't see our effort result in anything positive. Focusing on the most important thing at any given time and then not stopping until it is done will ensure that you not only get things done, but that you get the right things done and when they need to be done. And one last philosophy that has greatly impacted the way I think is the idea of minimalism. In a world that pushes materialism, status, and a constant pursuit of more, minimalism stands in stark contrast. It tells you to live on less and be happy, not because you convince yourself, but because you remove the excess that never made you happy in the first place. In addition to this, minimalism provides a sense of calmness and presentness that makes you appreciate the little things in life. Once you start removing the excess, you learn that you not only adapt to it, but you prefer it. It is probably the hardest philosophy to embrace because of its contrast to the aforementioned current states of the world, but it stands to provide the most benefit to those that practice. Allowing myself to focus on eating a diet primarily of whole foods with a guaranteed small treat every night lets me maintain a weight and a physique that I only would have dreamed of back in college. Cutting my workouts down to 3 compound movements 3 times a week allows my body the effective time to rest between workouts and freed up time to focus on things outside of health and fitness, like work and school. Auditing effort in school revealed that I placed way too much emphasis on classes that didn't even matter towards my education, but took up the majority of the time. So I decided that instead of perfect, those professors got the minimum to get a decent grade, and the classes that I stood to benefit the most got my full attention. Personal finance was similar in that I originally started investing in countless index funds, individual stocks, and every shiny altcoin that came my way. But I realized that a lot of index funds had significant overlap in their positions. My individual stocks and niche altcoins were constantly getting obliterated while the broader market was climbing to new all-time highs. So I cut my losses and traded those many baskets for a few strong ones, like the S&P and Bitcoin, and never looked back. And I watched my portfolio more than double in a year's time. And finally, the last straw for me was to embrace more minimalism in my everyday life, opting to get rid of 70% of the clothes in my closet and dressers. Any article that did not excite me, fit wrong, or looked bad got tossed to the side, and with it, I gained mental clarity and didn't seem to be anxious every time I had to make a choice of clothing. I could go on and on about this, but the main takeaway is to simplify your life. When you make things complex without mastering the basics, you miss an easy opportunity to pass ahead every other person doing the same exact thing. Focus on the actions that you can leverage to double your output or even free up time to spend on other aspects of your life. So when you feel the anxiety hamster spinning that wheel inside your head, telling you to do more, take a break and focus a lot on a little, and positive momentum of that needle moving will do the rest. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.